Hello everyone, back again with movie and tune recap. Today, I'm going to explain an American horror film from 2019, titled Mercy Black. Spoilers ahead, so watch out and take care. As young girls, Rebecca Klein tells her friend Marina Hess about the legend of Mercy Black, a supernatural being who supposedly helps sad children by taking away their pain in exchange for a sacrifice that will make her real. Desperate to save her dying mother, Marina goes along with Rebecca's idea to summon Mercy by sacrificing their friend Lily. The two girls stab Lily several times, cut off one of her fingers, and offer her blood as a sacrifice to Mercy Black at a lake. However, Lily survives the stabbing, while Marina and Rebecca are sent to mental hospitals. 15 years later, Marina is released from Shatton State Hospital by her psychiatrist, Dr. Etta Ward, and goes to live with her sister, Alice. When Marina arrives at Alice's house, she is welcomed by Alice's dog, and Alice takes her to the room where she'll be staying. While Marina is unpacking, she fails to notice the closet door creaking open by itself, and as she puts clothes in the closet, Marina notices the room door opening. Suddenly, a hand from the closet grabs her leg, however it turns out to be Alice's 8-year-old son, Bryce, who was playing hide and seek with his friend, Sam. Later, while taking a bath, Marina is haunted by memories of her past, and she feels something touch her hair. As she tries to calm herself, a hand suddenly reaches out from the bathtub and grabs her face, but it turns out to be a nightmare. That evening, while Marina is online looking for jobs, Bryce asks her about her time in art school, leaving Marina confused, but Alice steps in and tells Bryce to go and play. That night, Alice's boyfriend, Will Nyland, comes over for dinner, where the trios enjoy the evening. After Alice goes to put Bryce to bed, Will, who claims to be a fan of true crime stories, starts pressing Marina for details about the stabbing and tells her that the story of Mercy Black went viral after the incident. However, Marina feels uncomfortable talking about it and is shocked to learn that the legend of Mercy Black has become so well known. Later that night, while Marina is in her room, she sees a shadowy figure passing by her door, which unsettles her. She steps out to investigate, and thinking it might be Bryce, she calls his name but receives no response. Suddenly, she notices her bedroom door opening and closing on its own, and out of nowhere, a Mercy Black effigy breaks through a nearby window which terrifies Marina. Alice rushes to her aid and catches a glimpse of someone driving away, possibly the person who left the effigy and vandalized the house. The next morning, Alice reassures Marina, telling her it was likely just a prank by a drunk person, and tells her not to worry about what happened last night. While Alice is getting Bryce ready for school, Bryce asks her who Mercy Black is, but Alice tells him not to mention the name. At school, the curious Bryce asks the librarian, Mrs. Bellows, about Mercy Black, but she initially claims not to know anything. However, they soon begin to look up information together, with Mrs. Bellows showing Bryce internet articles and stories about the legend of Mercy Black, as well as his Aunt Marina's connection to it. Later, while Marina is alone at home, she decides to keep herself busy by watching videos on how to use a sander, and afterward, she begins sanding the stairs. Will arrives unexpectedly, and during their conversation, he mentions that Rebecca Klein was also released from her mental hospital. This news surprises Marina, as no one, including Dr. Etta, had informed her. The conversation takes an uncomfortable turn when Will suggests Marina should publicly share her story for profit. As he gets too close, Marina becomes uncomfortable and accidentally cuts Will's hand with the sander. At that moment, Alice returns home and will angrily accuse Marina of being unstable before storming out, and Alice shouts at him, telling him never to come back. That night, Alice goes outside to empty the trash can, where she begins to hear a strange rattling sound coming from the storage shed. Nervous, she grabs a rake for protection and cautiously approaches the shed, and when she switches on the light, the rattling stops, and there's no one there. Suddenly, the trash can falls over on its own, which startles Alice, and as she checks it, she is horrified to find her dog's lifeless body inside. At the same time, Marina sees a hand reaching out from the darkness of her room. She calms herself, and then rush outside when she hears Alice scream and is horrified by the sight of the dead dog. Alice immediately suspects Will and decides to confront him, leaving Bryce in Marina's care. Once inside, Bryce asks Marina about Mercy Black, and she tries to reassure him that it's just a made-up legend. Still doubtful, Bryce shows Marina what he found online and shares his fear that he might actually see Mercy Black. Meanwhile, Alice arrives at Will's house and bursts in, where she discovers a collection of newspaper clippings and articles related to Marina and the legend of Mercy Black. Will admits he has been writing a book about Marina's story and planned to sell it to the public to make profit. He tries to convince Alice to join him in his project, but disgusted, Alice refuses and storms out. Later that night, while Will is reviewing a drawing of Mercy Black, he briefly sees a glimpse of a shadowy figure, but it quickly disappears. Strange noises start echoing from his living room, and when he goes to investigate, he finds nothing. Returning to his workspace, he is unsettled to see all his papers and photos scattered across the floor. Grabbing a baseball bat for protection, Will begins to search the room, and suddenly, the door slams shut behind him. As he opens the front door to leave, he is confronted by a Mercy Black effigy, and inside the effigy is a figure who swiftly attack and kill him. At the same time, Bryce wakes up from a nightmare and is terrified to find a dead animal under his bed. He tries to convince himself it is just his imagination, and when he checks again, the animal is gone. As he's about to settle back down, he notices Mercy Black watching him through the vent, causing him to scream in terror. Alice rushed to Bryce's room to calm his terrified son, and Marina notices the word promise written on Bryce's bedroom wall, which triggers a memory of Rebecca cutting off Lily's finger as an offering to Mercy Black. Marina tells Alice that she believes Mercy Black might actually be real, but Alice tries to reassure Marina, suggesting Bryce's experience was just a nightmare, but Marina is unconvinced and storm off to find answers. Marina visits Rebecca, who now lives in a trailer with her mother, Mrs. Klein, to talk about what happened when they were kids. Mrs. Klein reveals that Rebecca had attempted to end her life and is now in a catatonic state. When left alone with Rebecca, Marina tries to get her to talk about their childhood, but Rebecca remains silent. While searching Rebecca's room, Marina finds a piece of paper that falls from a picture frame, and is unaware that Rebecca is now staring at her. The paper turns out to be an old map leading to Mercy Black's supposed hidden home in the woods, and suddenly, Rebecca attacks Marina. Mrs. Klein intervenes in time and pulls her daughter away from Marina, and the frightened Marina storm off the house. At school, Bryce is found by Mrs. Bellows, tearing up a book in a fit of anger. When she asks him about it, Bryce refuses to say anything, so Mrs. Bellows decides to drive him home. Arriving home, Bryce finds Sam waiting for him, and Alice encourages them to go and play. Alice calls Dr. Ward to tell her that Marina is seeing and hearing things again, and also mention that Bryce seems affected too. While playing in his backyard fort, Bryce tricks Sam into playing a game involving a noose, intending to offer Sam as a sacrifice to Mercy Black.
Miss Hess!
Sam's terrified scream alerts Alice, who rushes to the fort but struggles to open the door. Just as Alice forces the door open, Bryce, who looks possessed, snaps out of it, cuts the rope and allows Alice to rescue Sam. Shaken, Bryce tells his mother that Mercy Black made him do it, leaving Alice deeply disturbed. Following Rebecca's map and her past memories, Marina finds her way to a hidden nuclear fallout shelter in the woods. Inside, she discovers an old, unreadable book inside a box, and remember that as children, she and Rebecca created the Mercy Black effigy and was told by Rebecca that this shelter was Mercy Black's true home. Back at home, Alice stumbles upon disturbing drawings of Mercy Black made by Bryce. She is startled when she receives a call from Officer Hamilton, who asks her to come to the station regarding Will's death. Before she can leave, Alice checks on Bryce and finds him standing in a trance, whispering toward his bedroom vent. She snaps him out of it, but Bryce insists that Mercy Black is inside the house. To calm him, Alice leaves his room to show him there's nothing to fear, and just then, Bryce begins to act strangely. Suddenly, Alice is startled by a shadowy figure, causing her to scream and fall down the stairs. When Marina returns home, she finds the injured Alice being taken away in an ambulance, and Alice tells Marina that she saw Mercy Black. After putting Bryce to bed, Marina tries to reassure him by showing him the mask she and Rebecca made, hoping to prove that Mercy Black isn't real. She asks Bryce how his mother fell, but Bryce refused to talk about it, before going to sleep. Later that night, Marina wakes up to find Bryce missing from his bed. She begins searching for him, only to be startled when Bryce appears behind her, wearing the Mercy Black mask. Marina calms him, urging him to share whatever is troubling him and promise she'll believe him. Bryce then begins reciting the Mercy Black rhyme, and suddenly, Marina is knocked unconscious by an unseen force. Now terrified, Bryce sees Mercy Black and flees outside, where Mrs. Bellows is waiting for him. The viewers notice a missing finger on Mrs. Bellows' hand, which reveals that she is Lily, Marina's childhood friend who they once thought was lost to Mercy Black. Lily takes Bryce to the fallout shelter in the woods and places him inside the shelter, telling him that his mother will be okay if he does what she says. Responding to Alice's earlier call, Dr. Etta arrives at the house, where she finds the unconscious Marina on the floor and wakes her up. Dr. Etta explains that Mrs. Bellows is actually Lily, who disappeared years ago, changing her name, and also suggests she might have been the one who attacked Marina. Meanwhile, at the fallout shelter, while walking around, Bryce finds the Mercy Black effigy and offers one of his toys to the effigy. Determined to save Bryce, Marina leads Dr. Ward to the shelter, and while Marina descends to search for Bryce, Dr. Etta stays outside in case help arrives. While calling for emergency assistance, Dr. Etta is ambushed by Lily from behind, who slits her throat to prevent interference. Inside the shelter, Marina finds Bryce, but before they can escape, Lily confronts them. She reveals that she manipulated Marina's memories, trying to make her believe again in Mercy Black so that Marina could see her too. Lily explains that Marina's mother died because they failed to complete the sacrifice, and that she has been orchestrating recent events, including killing Will and attacking Marina, to rekindle Marina's belief, but Marina tells her that they made Mercy up. Suddenly, Marina attacks Lily with an iron and urges Bryce to run. As the two women grapple violently, Lily stabs Marina and leaves her bleeding on the floor. Before leaving, Lily tells Marina her intention to sacrifice Bryce to fully summon Mercy Black, and then goes after him. Inside the dimly lit shelter, the injured Marina attempts to escape, but suddenly, the Mercy Black effigy comes to life and attacks Marina. She tries to flee, but the effigy catches up to her, and summoning her last strength, Marina fights back, causing the effigy to collapse into a lifeless heap. Meanwhile, Lily corners Bryce at the edge of a dark lake where she believes Mercy Black can be summoned. Just as she prepares to complete the ritual, Marina arrives and tackles her, choking Lily in a final confrontation. However, Marina stops when she realizes that Lily is ready to die, believing her death will complete the sacrifice to summon Mercy Black. Thinking it's all over, Bryce walks up to Lily and unexpectedly stabs her in the eye, leading to her death. When Marina asks why, Bryce simply replies, "I made a promise," and suddenly, Mercy Black herself materializes behind Bryce. The movie concludes as Mercy Black begins to shroud Bryce in darkness as Marina screams in horror. Okay guys, that's all the recap about Mercy Black from 2019. Thanks for watching, see you again in the next video.